Okay, wonderful. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Another episode of Inspiring Interviews. I am your host, Irene Cachel. So thrilled you are here. And Miss Sharon, I love this topic so much. Health and, okay, reverse aging naturally. So if you know me, I've been talking about living until I'm 150. And people look at me like, why would you do that? That is ridiculous. Because of our view of what that looks like. But anyways, we'll talk more about that because I believe that we can really have a vibrant life and do it naturally and not all the gunk and stuff that's in our body. But anyway, so I look forward to the conversation. So Sharon, tell us who are you? Tell us a little bit about your story. And again, welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Irene. I really appreciate being here, and thank you for everyone that's listening. And this is such a hot topic for me, and it's actually a lifestyle for me. And when you mentioned that, yes, living to be 150, the model that we're living under thinks, oh boy, that's going to be a lot of suffering. However, it doesn't need to happen. And really, a little bit about myself. I'm Sharon Cusack, and I'm an age reversal and vitality coach and the founder of the Cusack Method. It's a groundbreaking system to help men and women over 50 release pain, restore energy, and reverse aging naturally. And yes, it can happen. So for the past 4 decades, I've actually experienced the holistic healing and actually studied. I've studied and studied and studied, and I've have modalities associated with anatomy, with biology, with body work, restorative body work, scar tissue. And really, it's about detoxing. It's about gut health. It's about rejuvenating the body at the cellular level. Aging is actually a sign that we are becoming unhealthy, all physically, emotionally, and energetically. So I help clients to feel and look 10 to 15 years younger. And I offer these transformational programs that I am a protege of exactly what that looks like. And we can live with vitality. We can live with the vibrancy. And my journey has been such a blessing, and it's been, some suffering associated with it. However, being focused on this and realizing how our population is aging and how we're actually moving into a suffer program and into a program that we're lessening our vitality. We can increase our vitality, and it's really fun. And it's really fun to watch, or to not even watch, to observe the transformation of individuals as we move forward. And I'm really, really pleased to be here, Irene. Thank you so much.
Yay. Yeah, thank you. So I love all of this. And I know that well, I was actually just talking to someone about this yesterday that I see these ads that AARP or the like whatever, the old people, they're 55 and older, any of these ads that show an older person and they just look so fragile, like 55 years old and you're already fragile. What's no, it doesn't, I can't even relate. So when I see that stuff, that it's normal to be in that way. Like it drives me nuts. I'm 57 and I am not even, I cannot relate at all to any of that. So I
I
love
agree.
that you are coming out and speaking differently and saying, no, 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 no. You can live a vibrant life. And we know that, baby boomers dictate the market. And right now, it's health and drugs, hospital, like how they're treating the baby boomers, like it's all lies, and it just drives me nuts. But anyway, can you speak to a little bit about you? You were talking about 50 and over, right? That's who you're.
Yes. And really the aging process starts even younger than that because we're filling ourselves full of toxins. And when you look at the model, and that's, you're absolutely right. When we look at this model, that now 1 in 3 people, 30% of the population is over the age of 60 right now. And that 60-year-old has spent all their life working for this retirement. And then now they're suffering because now they have become so inflamed that they're getting like aged, they're getting rigid, and they're getting stiff, and their body isn't circulating properly. And so then you go and then you start looking at this medical system that we're indoctrinated into, and it's about drugs or surgery. And the amount of like hip replacements and knee replacements and the drugs, and then it's just more chemicals, and then the knee replacements and hip replacements, the bone on bone. The bone on bone is because the body is pulling calcium from the bones due to inflammation. Inflammation is acidity. And when we're acidic, we cannot be acidic. At a homeostatic level, we need to be slightly alkaline at all times. And so what the body does is it pulls calcium from the bones to buffer down the acidity due to inflammation. Then now you have blood-borne calcium and it finds a place to park. Not only does it do that, as far as the calcification of the body, is that the connective tissues, the muscles, the ligaments, and the tendons get sticky and they have a form of striation to them. And these muscle fibers and ligaments and tendons, when they're inflamed, they go like this and they bind. Then how do you get circulation to the cartilage and the synovial fluid within the joints of the body? You can't. Then you've got inflammation, acidity. There's no circulation into that to create nice, plump, healthy tissue, healthy fluids within the body. Then that starts to calcify and it literally welds itself on to the inside of the knee joint and inside of the hip joint. When the doctor says to you, you're bone on bone, well, he's theoretically right, but it's actually calcified cartilage on bone because it's been so dehydrated due to the fact that there's not circulation to those joints, whatever it happens to be. If it's the knee joint, all that binding of the tissue that's been inflamed emotionally, inflamed physically, and inflamed spiritually. Some people goes, well, I never injured my knee. However, there's emotional components associated with every single part of the body, overuse, whatever it happens to be, that you're in a job or something that you're doing, and while you're doing that, you've got this emotional angst that's going on and it's driving it into those joints. So it's creating sticky tissue, goes like this, binds. Now the actual fluid within the joint can't get circulation, it starts to calcify, and then now you need a knee replacement or a hip replacement. I mean, I just worked on a woman here the other day. She had 2 hip replacements and 2 knee replacements. Oh my goodness. And then now they want to do a shoulder replacement. Well, woman, she's in her early 70s. And I said to her, how long do you want to live? And she was like, well, I want to live another 20 years. Well, you're going to live a life of suffering. And that's the bottom line here, because now you do these replacements. And now you have what happens when a body has a sliver in it. Well, the body works it out, creates inflammation, and it pushes it out. Well, these slivers in the body can't be pushed out. So the body is now going into a 24/7 inflammatory response because now there's a foreign object that you can't say, hey, body, I decided to put it in there. And so you're not going to react the way that it's supposed to react. And then now you have more inflammation. It may feel good for a period of time. And then now the scar tissue is going to bind like crazy. And then you're going to end up having problems.
Oh, thank you for that explanation. Like that makes so much sense. And yeah, and our doctors keep getting paid, they keep getting their money and oh, let's redo that surgery. Let's give you, and that's just the garbage on top of the garbage. It just doesn't work. And yeah, oh, I love that. Thank you so much. And this is the stuff that people need to know, and not just know, like know so that they can start thinking differently and then asking better questions and asking different questions and going to different, like there's got to be something different. Because I think I told you this story for myself in my 20s. Fast food was my thing. and it showed up eventually. I didn't know. I had no idea. It was just kind of how we ate all the time. It was convenient. It was fast. I was working, single person, and I just wasn't feeling well. So blood work done, and I can't even remember. I was in my 20s. I was young. I was a young 20, and my doctor at the time said, you need to be on some medication. Maybe it was high blood pressure. I really don't remember.
Maybe
And
probably cholesterol.
it could be, but all I remember is him
Yeah.
saying, I'm going to prescribe this medication. Like, that's always the thing. Let me prescribe this. And I was like, oh, okay. And I thought I take it for a week or whatever the thing is, like an antibiotic, I don't know. And I'm done. And I thank God I had the thought to ask, how long do I have to take this? And he said, well, what do you mean? I go, well, is it going to cure me, like whatever's going on with me? I still didn't really completely understand. He's all, no, 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 you don't know. This is your life now. You're going to be taking this medication forever. I was 20 something. Thank God I asked that question.
Yes.
No, no, I'm not going to do that. I go, okay. And whatever was going on at the time, I'm just like, can I just want to change my diet, change my lifestyle? And he's like, you don't have that time. You don't have the luxury of time to do that. You have to take this medication today. Now I'm going to prescribe this. And I said, give me a couple of weeks. He's all no. And I think we went back and forth and negotiated because at the time I was so afraid of taking any drugs because I had an allergic reaction when I was younger. It's like I did not want to chance that again, and to whatever drug I was on at the time. And I think I negotiated 7 or maybe 10 days, and I came back. They did the blood test again, and it was all fine. And all I did was I stopped eating fast food. I was eating at home. I was eating better, having my salads, having
Oh,
like that was literally it. And in a week, normal. And he couldn't believe it. He could not believe it. What did he ask me when I was eating? Did he ask me about my lifestyle? Did he? No, not one question about it. But he was ready to put me on this drug for the rest of my life as a 20-something-year-old person. What? We need to wake up. We need to start asking questions.
absolutely. And good for you. Good for you that you centered in the space of love of self rather than handing over your power to this person who's just a person that has, a toolbox that says, because we put these doctors, because in Latin, doctors actually means in Latin to teach, and they don't really teach. And so it's become this model that they're sitting up here on this pedestal, and you're sitting down here and you're looking up to them and you're handing over your power to them. And thank goodness that you didn't, because you had the wherewithal to take charge of it yourself and say, hey, there's something that's not right about this. And I mean, it's like it's insanity in many respects that we keep handing over our power. And 14 or 15 years ago, I had a business called Live Fit Live Food and co-authored a couple of books and Fitness Transforms and Food Transforms. And in that time frame, it was like there were so many people that were coming in, and they happened to be this group of women that came in that worked in the medical field, and they worked really closely with doctors. And they actually came in and they told this story, and I was like, I was actually kind of flabbergasted. But then I realized that the medical doctor, the GP, their training, they get 7 days on nutrition. And they came in, this group of women, and they said that their doctors that they work for, they go to these conferences and they outwardly speak about the fact that they get so angry at their patients that ask them about nutrition because they know nothing about nutrition, because they get 7 days and it's basically the food guide. Well, the food guide is is not going to keep you healthy. And the standard, American diet, the sad diet. And they said that they would visibly have like these blowouts at these conferences in regards to how They want their clients to stop asking them what they should eat.
Is that not ridiculous? Is
Yes.
that not, that is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard. And we say, oh, okay, that's normal. And like, I'm very big on words. Why do we use the word practice for a doctor? They are practicing on you. They don't even know. The whole thing is just
And they're actually
ridiculous.
physicians and surgeons. When you go into their office, their diplomas are as a physician and surgeon. It does not say doctor anywhere. And somehow they've managed to get that title as a doctor. I don't even know how that even happened because it really means to teach. And so
Yeah,
I teach, so I should be referred to as a doctor,
sure.
right? And then,
Right.
and as you're, I mean, this is like back in 1998. I mean, I've been on this journey for a long, long time, and I was in a relationship with a fellow that he decided that he was going to drink and drink a lot because of emotional stuff that was going on. Well, all the whites of his eyes turned yellow, and his liver was going to conk out. Long story short, to put him in the hospital, he kept saying, oh, are they going to give me something for this? Well, I said, no, they can't give you anything for the liver because your liver enzyme counts are where the normal range was supposed to be on one count, something like 2000. It was at 10. Another one, was supposed to be 3. It was at 8. I mean, it was like the liver was ready to stop functioning. So they would just had him in the hospital because if they, and he was in his mid 40s. And and they were looking at him just in the respect of they might need to put him on a liver machine and get a transplant. Okay. I ended up spending the whole night and I found the book that I ended up doing all the diagram and I studied the liver. And I decided that, you know what, I was going to decide to figure this all out. And I stayed up all night. I got this book from the 50s that said all about what the liver does. The liver is responsible for hormone function, responsible for digestion, and it's responsible for filtration. I stayed up all night. I drew pictures, figured out a plan, went to the health store. I got herbs to help cleanse the liver. I got digestive enzymes. I got this tea. I did all these things. And I went back home, labeled all the bottles. Take this before you eat. They take this after. Drink this tea, da 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 da. Go into the hospital and it says the number one thing that you should not eat. I mean, you need to go on a plant-based diet, period. No animal protein. Zippo. No coffee, nothing that the liver has to filter. Absolutely nothing. No alcohol, nothing. Okay, so I go in there, I walk into the hospital, and he's sitting there eating bacon and eggs and drinking a coffee. Well, I almost had a
In the
conniption
hospital.
at the hospital.
And they're, here you go.
Yeah, here you go. Eat animal protein and drink a coffee, and your liver's ready to conk out. And he looks at me with these eyes, and they were yellow, 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 as you could ever imagine, like mustard yellow. It was crazy. And he was really, really sick. So exactly, exactly. And so I took out all these bottles, put it on here, and I said, okay, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to drink. You need to drink this tea like 3, 4 times a day. You need to do all this kind of stuff, right? The doctor comes in, okay? So he's like, well, they're not doing anything. And I said, they can't do anything because they cannot give you surgery and they cannot give you a pill because it has to be processed through the liver and your liver is about to conk out. So anyways, the doctor comes in and he's like, he just kind of like looks at him. And so then he says to him, he goes, well, what do you think about that stuff? And he picked up one of the bottles and he looked at it and he put it down. He goes, can't hurt. And he walked out. And so, so I started him on this regime and they let him out of the hospital because his liver enzyme count started to come up like really quickly. And so he went every week he went for blood tests to get his liver enzyme count checked. And the nurse said to him, she said to him after the second week, she said, I don't know what you're doing, she said, but your liver enzyme count is almost back to normal. Within 3 weeks, I had his liver enzyme count back to normal. And it was just, I mean, yeah. And that was like almost 20 years ago. No, almost 30 years ago. It was 1988. What are we at now? Yeah, 27 years ago.
Yeah.
And this is the power that we can have within ourselves. And we just need to, when we look at the toolbox that the allopathic medical doctor has, it's great for acute, but not for chronic. And Deepak Chopra said that the next pandemic is one of inflammation for North Americans. We're in an
Mm.
inflammation nation pandemic right now. And until we bring down that inflammation, then we're going to be binding our tissues. We're going to be calcifying our joints. We're going to be putting in cholesterol into our bloodstream, because when you have blood-borne inflammation, then
Mhm.
it's acidity. So what does the body do? Pulls little microparticles of calcium from the arterial walls and creates cracks. So then what does the liver do? Produces
Mm.
cholesterol, because the arteries can't have cracks in it. It needs to do putty, needs to put
Right.
putty in the cracks. And so then now you have arteriosclerosis, and you have hardening of the arteries, and you have constriction of the arteries. Now we just need to bring down the inflammation.
I love your explanation. I just love, like, so I get it. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense versus these words doctors are saying, and you just need to take this and it's going to fix you and you're done. And whatever happened to it? How did it go from I can remember grandma making these natural teas, and that's how you healed yourself, and the body knew exactly what to do. And then slowly it transitioned into you take this medication, and yeah, it's going to do that thing, but it's also just going to screw up a bunch of other stuff along the way because our body knows. Like, how does that even happen? I'm not really asking you. It's like we've just been brainwashed to think this is like we just want instant gratification. Oh, you can fix that overnight. Okay, tomorrow. Okay, I'll take it. Thank you. And then I go on about my way. So, oh my gosh, amen to you. Thank you so much for being here. And I love that this holistic approach, like mind, body, soul. It's not just about what's going into your mouth, but what are your thoughts and your emotions around everything that you are doing? Like maybe talk a little more about the emotional part that you were like it binds to the body. Like tell me more about that.
Yes, absolutely. I'd love to. I mean, it really, the model that has been created is a model based on money, because there's not money in going out and picking, dandelion leaves and throwing them into a blender and helping cleanse your body. There's no money. So so that's what it is. And so in regards to the emotions, what happens is that we are running such a fear program, because we are so afraid. And I often will call it fear-based medicine, because they'll keep looking for something. So when somebody's like having issues, until they can label the issue, that there's 0 to 60 or whatever it is. I mean, before you get the big C, or before you get arthritis or whatever it is, there's a lot of steps that go on before the label can be created. MS or Parkinson's or whatever it is, leaky gut, and all of these things. And so what happens is that we run such a fear program, because I mean, there's even studies that show that when the breast cancer whole cycling thing comes into, where they're doing a thing within a community on breast cancer, that the incidences of breast cancer go up in that community. And what's happening
I'm
is,
sorry, say that again. When what?
so there's evidence that when they're doing these fundraisers for different types of problems, heart disease, cancers, breast cancer, they do these things, that when they start doing a campaign within communities and it becomes Breast Cancer Awareness Month, that the incidences of breast cancer go up.
That is mind blowing because we know what you focus on grows. And now this is okay, cancer. Do I
Yes,
have cancer? Do my like, oh,
yes.
wow, that's amazing. And I believe that to be true for sure. Oh,
And you
okay,
see,
so
what
sorry. Yeah.
happens is that you've already got underlying inflammation because of your lifestyle. Your lifestyle of anxiety and stress and worried about tomorrow and whatever it is, and then the lifestyle about what you're consuming, and the emotional component. Maybe your relationships aren't good. Whatever it happens to be. So then what happens is that you already have inflammation, and then what goes on is that then there's this thing that tips you over the edge. And it could be the fact that they start a fundraiser, over, but so then now you get so concerned because now 1 in 3 women gets breast cancer. I mean, that's insanity. And so then you go into fear, you dump a bunch of cortisol into the body, which is the fear, which is the stress hormone. And so now it's going to find a place to park itself wherever that inflammation is the worst, whether it be in the breasts or whatever. And when you have all of these toxins within the system due to leaky gut, because a lot of people don't even, I mean, I say to people, leaky gut. Have you heard of leaky gut? Oh yeah, yeah. And I'll say, what part of the gut's leaking? And be like, I don't know. Well, it's your large intestine. So your large intestine spewing infection and inflammation. I mean, do you want your poop to go into your bloodstream? And that's what's going on. So we have inflammation that's already sitting there. And then all of a sudden, something fearful comes up and it bumps you over the edge.
God, okay. Yes. God. Okay. And is that where it starts for most people? I think most people don't even realize the whole leaky gut thing
That's right.
and what we're putting in to make every single day drip, 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 what we're putting in. Um, and so how do you know? Like, how do you even test for that? How would you?
Well, the bottom line is that only about 1% has a healthy large intestine of the population because of the plaque that's being formed. And and so much emotion sits in the gut. You make me sick to my stomach. I'm feeling nauseous. I can't stomach this. Oh, I can't breathe because of whatever's going on. I mean, that's really what happens as far as the gut goes. And there's so much emotion that gets stuck in there. I mean, as a child, I always had stomach aches. I couldn't have anything elastic around my waist. And I always had stomach aches. And however, I lived in an atmosphere of absolute chaos in regards to the household. It was fight, flight. It was like 6 older brothers, 1 older sister. I mean, it was like, the dinner time. I mean, we weren't all sitting there nice and relaxed and, whatever. We were kind of like fighting over the food and, somebody was stealing something off of each other's plate. And I didn't even have good, healthy bowel movements as a child because of all of this contraction, and it sits within the intestinal tract. And then what goes on is that then the intestinal wall gets lined with plaque. My mother baked every day. I mean, God bless her. I mean, that's what she felt really good about doing for the family. And you know what? And it was really good. However, it was a lot of sugar, and a lot of sugar creates a lot of plaque. And that plaque then starts forming itself inside the intestinal wall, and it literally welds itself on. I mean, what is most people's diets? Dairy, sugar, um, lots of flour products, alcohol. All of these things are very inflammatory. And what it does then is it flattens out the hostras of the large intestine wall. And the large intestine wall is only one cell membrane thick. It's very thin because the toxic load comes out of the small intestine as a liquid into the large intestine. And then the large intestine is supposed to be doing these hostras, these bulbous structures, they're supposed to do hostral churning, pulling out the last bit of nutrients and minerals from that fluid and the moisture and producing the bowel movement. And what goes on when it's icky, sticky, and all this inflammation within it, it starts welding itself onto the inside of the intestinal wall. It flattens out those hostras. And so then our largest muscle in our body, which is 6 to 9 feet long, it doesn't do this. And so that compost pile, so when you think of a compost pile, there's gas off, there's putrefaction, there's all kinds of things, parasites in there. It actually loosens the wall of the tight junctions of the large intestine wall. It loosens those tight junctions, and that starts leaching out through the intestinal wall. So when you get fibroids, endometriosis, prostate issue, hip issues, because what's all sitting there? The pelvic girdle, cysts, fibroids, tumors, all of these things, fertility issues. And then you get acid reflux because all that acid's coming up. You get gum disease because it all sits in the teeth, all of that.
Wow.
Hiatal hernias, inguinal hernias, where the fascia is actually being deteriorated from that spewing of infection into the pelvic girdle as well as into the bloodstream. And so it deteriorates the fascia, and then the intestines start herniating through the stomach wall. All of
Mhm.
that.
Wow. Okay. Okay, Dr. Sharon. Yeah, I think I love how you're giving it to it. It's like I get like you're saying in these simple terms, and it's like now, okay, I get that. I really understand. Stand. And I had never even heard the term fascia until just recently. And your fascia, like it seems like that's pretty important part of your body.
It is. It is full of neurotransmitters. They used
Right.
to do abdomen surgery and just throw it out. Oh, we don't need this. Out it goes. Excuse me. It's actually considered another organ of the body, and it's full of neurotransmitters.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes,
so interesting. All that oh.
it's so amazing. And then when we talk about our immune system,
Mhm.
the microbiome. Now that microbiome is, you got SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, and then you have the large intestine. I mean, parasites, all the microbiome. I mean, it's 85% bad bacteria now in most people and 15% good bacteria. It should be the other way around. And so then you wonder why you have an autoimmune disease.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, your body is finding itself, right? Is that what that is? An autoimmune is,
Yes, that's
yeah.
right. So you don't
Mhm.
have the ability to actually fight off. And so then you've got to go and get what? Some kind of pill or something. And then it's putting more toxic load into the body. And that's why, I mean, we have toxicity that is bloodborne and it's like it's systemic. And these people, I see it over and over and over again. And you see people that look like puffballs. Well, that is inflammation. And I do, I do restorative body work to help open up the scar tissue and the calcification. However, I work with some people that are super inflamed, and the inflammation creates contraction, and that contraction creates pain.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when we bring down the inflammation, we can bring down the pain because now we have things opening, and then the
Mhm.
body's not walling itself off from the inundation of the infection that's spewing into the bloodstream.
Yeah. Oh gosh. So, and we're talking about, so I think you brought this up before about the oxygen, the food. Like we have all of this backwards. We should be thinking about oxygen. Oxygen is first,
Yes.
breathing in that good oxygen and down to a cellular level. And I love that you do this work and really work with like in a lot of different ways. And then the the food and like what's the other? Yeah, and then yeah, and the emotional part. Or
Yes.
you tell me, like what do people do? What can we do to switch all of this? Everything that we've been told, like where do we even start?
Well, really, we can start with drinking really good water and ideally structured water because structured water is positively ionized. It's like the water that's going down a babbling brook because it's changing direction and it becomes positively ionized. I mean, Emoto ended up writing so many books in regards to it, fourth phase water. When you freeze fourth phase water, positively ionized water, i.e. structured water, and you look at it underneath the microscope, it's got like beautiful crystalline, it looks like a snowflake or whatever. And then when you freeze and take a slice of non-structured water, it looks like this glob, which is actually less permeable to the aquifers of the cell. And that water will come in because how can you put out a fire? You put out a fire using water. So we want to
Mhm.
put out the fire in the body. And we could start drinking warm, structured water to help cleanse the body and use less.
Warm. Okay.
Warm is best because I mean, as soon as when our body is trying to heal, we want to reduce the amount of energy that it spends on digestion and
Mhm.
and assimilation. And when you drink warm water, now the body doesn't have to go in and heat it up. So ice cold water, I mean, the body has to go in and warm it
Got
up.
it.
Or
Right. Mhm.
and so you're using energy for that. And then if you wash your dishes, is it better to wash it in warm water or cold
Right.
water?
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
Mhm.
And that's really important is the water and the right type of water. And that because structured water actually reduces the surface tension of the water, so it goes into the aquifers and you're not just flushing out valuable minerals and nutrients. Many people say, well, if I go and drink, for an average woman, 3 to 4 liters of warm structured water a day, the average man, 4 to 6 liters. Well, they're like, oh, I'll just be sitting on the toilet. Well, yes, you would be if it wasn't structured because it's
Mm,
not it's not absorbing and you're just flushing out valuable minerals and nutrients. I totally agree with you. But when it's
yeah.
structured, then now it's actually absorbing into the cells in through the aquifers of the
Yeah.
cell. Because remember, like you said, it's about cellular regeneration. When a cell is inflamed, it creates a protective barrier, a form of casing around the outside edge of it. And that casing prevents the free flow of blood and lymph and oxygen in and out. It's called electroporation. And
Mm,
now when it's so inflamed, then it's walling itself off to protect itself from the inundation of the infection and whatever's going on out there. And it's protecting itself. That's what cancer does, is it walls itself off to protect itself because it's a life of its own. It's a life of its own. So then
yeah.
now what we need to do is make it even more permeable and then bring down that inflammation. Look at the diet, look at, dairy. I mean, dairy is one of the most inflammatory foods that we can consume. And
Mm.
and people are addicted to cheese. Cheese has 20
Jeez.
times the casein that mother's milk has.
Ooh.
And it's more addicting than heroin because it fires up and morphine. It's more addicting than more it fires up the morphine receptors of the cell. So people are like, oh, I can't stop my cheese. Well, yeah.
That is so interesting. So, so many years, I've always thought, who was the first person that looked at a cow udders and said, "Ooh, I need some of that." It's like, wow, is that even a thing? And the mother's milk is to support this how many ton animal, like to grow and nourish this growth. So I love milk. I mean, I grew up on milk, so I get it. But as I'm thinking about it, it's like, yeah, and that's why. Like I know there's something off, even though I love it so much, like sugar and like all the other and the fast food and which I try not to do anymore. And there's times where I'm like, can I just have a little bit? Can I just but why? Why do that? Why would I do that? Can I just have a little poison? Just a little bit. It makes
Yeah.
no sense. And again, I just love your explanation of all of this because it's really getting to a whole other level for me of this is why. I mean, you could, but do you really want to? And to live longer and to have to be able to live to 150? Like that's kind
Well,
of
and the thing is that with my own personal journey, I almost lost my life when I was 13 because I, decided that the night before my second oldest brother's wedding to have an appendix attack. And I didn't decide that, but the world did. And then I decided to, sit in a corner and suffer for 4 days before I couldn't even walk because the model was, you're just 13, you sit in this corner, all these festivities. I don't want to disturb the festivities because who am I? I'm just sick. I'm just throwing up and I can't eat anything except for, like drink for some reason. I could drink black tea. That was it. That's all I could keep down for like 4 days. So Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. Finally, Monday morning, I collapse. And, then it's like, whoo, okay. Then the world started turning a little bit and my appendix had ruptured and it was rotting in my stomach. And that's,
oh,
yeah. And so then it was like, I was like hours away from a systemic blood infection and, systemic poisoning. And then but however, what happened is that I became enamored with the human body because I was in the hospital for quite a while and they had to flush me out like a toilet with saline solution to get out rid of, and then they closed me up and then my stomach filled again full of infection. And so this whole thing went on. And then when I went into high school, it was like, wow, biology and chemistry. This is like super cool, like, because I had gone through this. However, the bottom line is that that was kind of the tipping point of all of the things that went on with me, hypoglycemia, then miscarriages, and it was all to do with my large intestine. And all I really needed was an enema because the corn on the cob that I had the night before got lodged in the ileocecal valve. And all I needed to do was just get somebody to flush it out and it wouldn't have swollen up and it wouldn't have like created all the things that created from that point on because I had all the antibiotics and it disrupted the whole thing. I had yeast infection after yeast infection. Then I ended up with hypoglycemia so bad because I had yeast lining my intestinal tract that I wasn't absorbing my food. And so I went on a, like then I started into naturopathy and started on this yeast-free diet. Like this is like 1988. It was a long time ago. And it was just this really crazy thing. Then I ended up with miscarriages. Then I ended up with staph infection in my uterus after I had my daughter, and she was my last attempt to have a child. And then it was all based on the fact that my large intestine was leaching into my pelvic girdle. And I didn't
Mm.
even really recognize that to the degree that I did now. And I've been working on my large intestine because I had a balloon sigmoid. And I've been working on my large intestine and it takes time. And it's like, however, if we decide that we want to change things, and even myself, if we want to go on the 80-20 rule, and then eventually we come to the point where might not even do the 20%, the yucky stuff. And
Mhm.
because you start feeling the cleaner you get and the healthier you get, the less you can abuse your body.
Right. Yeah, your body's just not going to let you anymore. It says, no.
That's right. Because when
Yeah.
it comes in, it's like, oh my goodness. And then you wake up in the morning, you're like, whoa, what did
Oh,
I eat
what did
that
I do?
for? Yeah, you feel like you're hungover from a bunch of carbs that you ate the night before. The carb hangover.
Yeah. Right. Yes. And I do feel it depending on what I eat. Yes. Because, like you, there a lot of trauma in the house, dad, alcoholism. Like there was never, I was always waiting for that thing to drop just to cause this chaos and stomach aches all the time. And then fast forward. Yeah. So, oh, this is so good. I love this so much. Okay, so for people you're talking to get like water,
Yeah.
um, vegetables, clean okay, so this is another thing. Our vegetables aren't even like that even worries me because of all of the pesticides and all the garbage that is in our real food. Like how it is mind blowing how we've allowed this, but so how do you know what you're actually eating and if it's real? Like corn for me, I can't do corn
No,
anything.
no, not me neither.
Um,
I don't do corn. Yes, and really, I support the local farmers markets as much as possible because I know that. And then organics. I started eating organics in 1988 in Edmonton, Alberta, and it was like the growing season in Edmonton was like 6 weeks. But the thing is that source it as much as possible. And I love because I live on Vancouver Island, and we do have farmers markets like all year. And so I call it ditch greens that we get because it kind of looks like it just came out of the ditch. But however, I know that and then the biggest thing is because even if it's grown in your backyard, you still got the glyphosates coming in that's settling on it in the chemtrails and all the other things that are coming in from the environment. And what you need to do is you need to soak everything in baking soda and vinegar and water and soak it
mhm,
for 20 minutes to half an hour to at least lift. And it's amazing as to what you see as far as the skim scum that comes off of even the organics. Because they're grown out in the elements. They're not being intentionally sprayed. However, you see Roundup and the glyphosates that it's water soluble. So it seeps into all the water, all the aquifers. And the Mississippi River in the United States, the Mississippi River, it collects 80% of the glyphosates for all of the United States. And so then what
oh,
happens, you have condensation, then those glyphosates are collected by the clouds, then the clouds dissipate, and then they rain on you.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
sad
Uh,
situation that we're in. And all we
yeah.
can do is just say hallelujah to Bobby Kennedy and think that, let's stay
Hopefully
in that
things will
light.
change. Yes.
That's
Mhm.
right. Let's stay in that light because there's more conversations going on with this. And then when you think of bromide, oh my, that's another thing. Ugh, Yeah, but that's another story. Bromide and iodine. Iodine used to be added to our food, and they replaced it with bromide.
Mm.
Viewers, look up bromide. And that's another thing. Bobby Kennedy, please look into the bromide and start moving it back the other way because we need the iodine.
Right. Right. Yeah. There's a lot of things that I know growing up as a kid, it's not even the same food anymore. It doesn't have the same ingredients. It's just not, nothing's real anymore. And like you were talking about, it all comes down to money. How do we do it cheap? How do we do it fast? And we're just buying into it. And oh, I love this subject so much. We're running out of time.
Me
So,
too. I could
okay.
talk on it forever. I love it.
Forever. And I feel like I have been talking about this for so long. I mean, I'm literally talking to friends about, yeah, I just can't do medication. I can't, that's just not me. And they're like, oh, me either. But just once in a while, I get headaches and they're popping pills, or just once in a while. And it's like once a week. And I'm thinking, like, what? Or this one person constantly on antibiotics for different things. And not, I'm
Oh boy.
I don't think they
Antibiotics.
even really understand what they're saying when they say, oh, me either.
Yeah.
That is tearing your body apart. And it's just like all the everything you just said, like I get it.
Yeah.
And so your work is so needed in the world. I would love for people, well, okay, before we go there for people to find you, just quick synopsis. So you were saying water, like what can people
Yeah,
do?
dairy and try to lessen the toxins in your body. I mean, there's fulvic, however, I don't even want to mention that because there's good fulvic acid and then there's fulvic acid that isn't extracted properly. Really, it's about even if you just drink like fresh lemon water to help move out start alkalizing yourself. And really look at meditations. Look at meditations to bring down your anxiety, bring down your fear, and recognize that we have this beautiful, beautiful God designed body that is meant to heal, and we can turn back time. As Cher says, we can turn back time, and we can, no matter where we are. And the
Yeah.
oxygen, breathing, learning how to actually breathe and walk in nature. Go stand and ground yourself because grounding will bring down the inflammation. There's a
Mm,
great Netflix movie, the Earthing movie, and it's a fabulous movie. And you could go in there and you could see how you could start bringing down inflammation by just going and standing in your garden. I mean, we don't go into nature because we're so busy, on Netflix and so busy on our phone and, the email. We don't even go into nature and take deep breaths. If you live by the ocean, stand by the ocean during an electrical storm and breathe in the gaseous iodine that will kill infection and bacteria in the body.
mm,
It's
yeah.
amazing. And
Mhm.
we are designed as this absolutely phenomenal machine. And I know it from my own personal experience and how I've recovered from spinal injury and scar tissue and emotional traumas and all these things. I'm 62. I'll be 63 in November.
Yeah.
And that's what we can do. And that is how age reversal and vitality can be regained. The vitality needs to start with loving yourself enough to make these changes and not giving up.
Amen. Yeah. Oh, I love that. And yeah, mind, body, soul,
That's right.
all lined up.
That's right.
Nurture. Oh, I love that. So how can people find you, work with you? What's
Thank you.
how does someone work? Is it a one-on-one or like what is it that
Well, I
you
do
do?
group coaching, and then I would do like I've got this the Sharon Cusack the Cusack method as far as group coaching, where you can sign up for group coaching and we can get together twice a month. And then if there's something along the line of immersion with the body work that I do, then that can be an additional, and we can arrange how we can get together in that regards. And I also do one-on-one coaching, and my website is Sharon-Cusack, Cusack, like the actor John Cusack.com. And then if you want to go right to the Cusack Method, and that's the methodology of all of these years of studying. I've studied Chinese medicine, I've studied naturopathy, I have done the pathway of my own healing journey, and I really have the tools that can turn this around. And you can go to sharon-cusack.com/ the Cusack method / and we'll put a link in the, if you want to check out and sign up for a free discovery session, and we can see where we can go from there, see what works for you. And the bottom line is you can turn back time, and it's within your reach. And don't you want to wake up in the morning feeling excited about your day? Don't you want to look at retirement and thinking about all the pain and suffering and feel vital, feel energetic, feel like you can move your body and go dancing? And just like I did about a month ago, I went tobogganing with my grandchildren, and all the parents are up there because they're all stiff and they're hurting. And here's a 62-year-old going down the hill. Woohoo! Right? It's so much fun. You can
Yes.
do it.
Oh, so good. So good. I love this. Thank you again for being here. And one last thing, I asked all my guests, what inspires you? What inspires you?
You inspire me. All of the people that are out there suffering inspire me to get up every morning and work diligently. I can return, if I can save one person from suffering and pain and move them into a place of vitality and excitement. There we go.
Oh, I love that answer so much. Yes, I'm with you. So good. Love it so much. Love you. Thank you for what you do. And yeah, everyone go find Sharon and get your life back. Mind, body, soul. I'm so excited.
Irene.
Yeah. Okay.
Sending
Okay.
blessings to you all. And remember, you can do it.